Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the Transformers Earthrise Grapple, and here he is. And I really like him. I really like this crane mode. I personally like crawler cranes or the cranes with tracks on them, but this crane that he is with the wheels, he's okay. I still really like it. I'm just going to take his gun off really quick. And obviously you can store his gun there. You know, if you want to, you can take the crane off and, oops, no. I mean the hook, not the crane, and you can store it there if you want the gun there. And since the claw's already off, let's take that off. And for some reason, it has one of those ramp connector pieces, which is funny. But yeah, and then you have his little blaster that sits right there. So since it's off, we'll just leave that off. And this can telescope, and it can do, I think, a full 360, and it can bend a 180, and it is ratcheted, which is really nice. But well, I just went over the functionality of his crane, but yeah, I really like it. Like that the outriggers are done in silver. I really do like that. I do wish they really couldn't have done anything with it, but to me, how the forearms, I mean the upper arms or middle arms or whatever, these will become the arms if you don't know. They just, make it a little weird that they're not completely flush, but there's no other way that they really could have done that. Have a proportionate shape to the arms and then potentially cover them up in robot mode. But I don't know. I'm just nitpicking. That's just a nitpick. Just something that is something that I have noticed. But something that I do love is the wonderful shade of blue for these lights, for the windshield, and for these little lights. Absolutely love the look of it. I do really like the paint, how glossy it is. Love the silver. Really like the Autobot symbol up there. I think it would have benefited from maybe a white border, just a tiny little white border around it, but not that big a deal. Still pops really nicely against the orange, and he still looks really nice. Really, really cool. I do wish he had a bit more striping to him, like here and here, just to, I don't know, just give him a bit more construction-y feel, because he has that, like, Caterpillar construction orange, but I think he should have had some more of that, or maybe a bit more, like, black bits, just a tiny bit more black around him, just to do a bit more. Really like the rims being done in orange, really like that. He's just a really basic crane. It's fun. He does the whole crane thing a lot better than a lot of other toys. But it's just more the fact that I think it's been a consensus, I think, that he just needed a bit more color to him. That he just seems a bit bland. And at least that's my opinion, is that he could have benefited from a lot more color. But of course, that would have harmed his accuracy in his robot mode. So let's go and get him there. So we'll just start with just putting that away and just put the whole hook away, and it does peg in. And this guy, to my knowledge, works very similarly, I think, to the Masterpiece. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure how the Masterpiece works, but I think he shares a lot of like DNA and genetics with that toy. So I have not transformed this guy a lot just because he's like fairly bland. But my pegs have not broken. I haven't sanded them. So we will see here on camera if they break. Hopefully they don't, because I don't want them to break. And I think these pegs should have been even shorter than they are, or should have been engineered with a lower tolerance, a higher tolerance than what they were. I think they could have been, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch shorter, like the tiniest bit shorter, in my personal opinion. They should have, could have, would have been shorter, I think, personally. But we got it. Mine didn't break, so lucky there. But unpeg that, and then we will swing all of this down, and we will just simply, really quick, just bring down the feet, like so. And since it's getting taller, we'll raise up the camera, like so. And now we will bring the arms around, and they just split. And I didn't show this off, but these little round pegs, I think, go in right there to hold the halves together, the legs to the arms. But you swing the arms around and they will tab in like so, and then you swivel the arms, and then I'm gonna fold out this hand because I like to give the other hand the blaster hand. But you do get the option to have both full hands if you want to, but I like having the, gun hand. So now back here, we will swivel this around and bring it down. Then swing this around to reveal the head, and now you will scrunch all this up, and then it will see that little clip thingy right there, and then this little clip thing, it will drop right in like that to bring and clamp the head in, like so. There he is. Really fun, really simple, quick, and easy transformation. Almost like a transformation of a deluxe, just scaled up to a Voyager. And I really like it. It is a lot of fun. It is really sort of fun and intuitive. But I think a lot of it comes from the masterpiece. I don't think this toy reinvents a whole lot of the process. I think it really just shrinks it down and makes it cheaper. I think. I may be completely wrong because I don't own the masterpiece, but I think that's how it works. But this, I don't know why. Maybe because the orange is more concentrated around the colors of the chest or around the front of the crane. He just looks better, in my personal opinion, in this way. Maybe because there's more detail, like on the legs or something. I really don't know. But he looks better. He doesn't look as, boring in this mode, where all the detail is getting, washed out or whatever. Or not washed out, but he doesn't pop as much and seem as fun in his crane mode. But here he seems really fun. Really like the just basic blocks that he's made of. He's just a big block. Everything about him other than his head is a block. And he does have a really nice head, really nice face. See that silver, see those blue eyes. You can see that there is a gap in between the insert for the eyes, and you could just see the light or whatever coming through. That doesn't look super cool or good or whatever. Maybe they were going for that when they designed and engineered him, but I don't know. It kind of looks unsightly to me, but it's not that big a deal. But either way, he looks really nice, and of course he has the standard articulation that all the toys of the modern era have. Just basic, simple stuff. I do love that you're able to get some feet articulation more beyond just the ankle tilt because of the way he transforms. And I do love his feet, just how big and stompy they look. They look like boots. They're not just feet or whatever. They're boots that he's an engineer. He just has that feel to him. He has this sort of belly to him. He looks like some old designer or architect. He's really fun. I really love his design. I really like Grapple. Just his design, his look, and everything. And he's just really fun. And of course, you can do this. You can work the crane from the front. I don't know if he does this in the show or cartoon but either way, if he does or he doesn't, you can do it with this toy. And that's something that I absolutely love with that. So of course, you have his gun, and it is fairly basic. I don't know if it's like anything, because I think in the cartoon he mainly used his hand, but you do get the gun, and you can obviously put it over his shoulder, like so. Or you can store it on his back just by swiveling it around or putting it somewhere else. You can put it right there. But I like to have him just hold it. And then obviously this you can put in his hand, and he can, have this for his hand and grapple stuff, or grapple, hold stuff and do whatever you want with it, with this. But I just store it right there. It is a little unsightly to store it there because it's, it's just the claw just hanging out on the side of his head. But it's okay, and his head can rotate. It's not just completely static. It can't rotate. It can't do anything else. It just rotates. and mine is a little loose, but it does keep its place. It's not like there's anywhere for it to like fall. And that's one thing, is that this guy is really solid. The wheels do rattle, but he is really solid. He doesn't really move. I do really like that. But yeah, he's just, I think just like what comes down to it is that me personally, I haven't had that breakage issue with these pegs. So that's not too much of a concern, but if those were fixed and there were better colors on him or more color to him, he would be a better toy. I don't own Inferno or Artfire, but but they just look better. I personally really like Artfire as a design, but just like Artfire is that he fixed the breakage issues and then he has even more color to him. So that's why me personally, I really love Artfire compared to him, and even Inferno, I really like Inferno too. And he fixed those breakages. So just like this guy is the first and worst version of this mold, but I think if he had more color to him, like he had more, I do own Holler, and Holler has the same idea and concept as him. He's just a big, solid color, but he is a little boring. I don't think he even has any black to him. I think, well, maybe a little bit, but I think like if you just simply made his forearms black, like his thighs and his hips, he would look a lot more appealing, a lot more cooler. It would hurt his vehicle mode because it'd break up the solidity of the orange and the consistency of the orange, but it would make him look better in robot mode in my personal opinion, but then it wouldn't be accurate, just the fact that Grapple is inherently flawed with having this weird, caterpillar or construction orange and then having to be all that color, just sort of hurts him. But really, it's not that big a deal. He's just a really, really basic toy. And then add in the fact that he is just this solid orange. He is just a really sort of bland and boring toy, in my personal opinion. But there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes there needs to be just a bland and boring toy just to bulk out the wave. And I still really like him because he is still a lot of fun. So that's what I have to say. So, till next time, see ya.